United we stand, united we are, united we can. United we can. Troubled times are brewing. Can't you sense it in the air? Help is needed. Hearts are in despair. Yes.
Frequent disappointments, lives turned upside down. Who will come and help turn things around?
We're an answer to what's needed. There is so much we can do, not on our own, but as one. Together, me and you. United we stand, united we are, the responders to the call. Together we hope, together we dream. We're a strong and mighty team. We will face every challenge with our heart, our hands, our will. United we stand, united we are, united we can. There is so much need, it's hard to miss. We can't ignore, we're built for this, for such a time as this. United we stand, united we are, the responders to the call. Together we hope, together we dream. We're a strong and mighty team. We will face every challenge with our heart, our hands, our will. United we stand, united we are, united we can. United we stand, united we are, the responders to the call. Together we hope, together we dream. We're a strong and mighty team. We will face every challenge with our heart, our hands, our will. United we stand, united we are, united we can. United we can. Troubled times are brewing. Can't you sense it in the air? Help is needed. Hearts are in despair. Yes.
Frequent disappointments, lives turned upside down. Who will come and help turn things around?
We're an answer to what's needed. There is so much we can do, not on our own, but as one. Together, me and you. United we stand, united we are, the responders to the call. Together we hope, together we dream. We're a strong and mighty team. We will face every challenge with our heart, our It's hard to miss, we can't ignore. We're built for this, for such a time as this. United we stand, united we are, the responders to the call. Together we hope, together we dream. We're a strong and mighty team. We will face every challenge with our heart, our hands, our will. United we stand, united we are, united we can. United we stand, united we are, the responders to the call. Together we hope, together we dream. We're a strong and mighty team. We will face every challenge with our heart, our hands, our will. United we stand, united we are, united we can. United we Troubled times are brewing. Can't you sense it in the air? Help is needed. Hearts are in despair. Yes.
Frequent disappointments, lives turned upside down. Who will come and help turn things around?
We're an answer to what's needed. There is so much we can do, not on our own, but as one. Together, me and you. United we stand, united we are, the responders to the call. Together we hope, together we dream. We're a strong and mighty team. We will face every challenge with our heart, our hands, our will. United we stand, united we are, united we can. There is so much need, it's hard to miss, we can't ignore. We're built for this, for such a time as this. United we stand, united we are, the responders to the call. Together we hope, together we dream. We're a strong and mighty team. We will face every challenge with our heart, our hands, our will. United we stand, united we are, united we can. United we stand, united we are, the responders to the call. Together we hope, together we dream. We're a strong and mighty team. We will face every challenge with our heart, our hands, our will. United we stand, united we are, united we can. United we can. Can't you sense it in the air? Help is needed, hearts are in despair. Yes.
Frequent disappointments, lives turned upside down. Who will come and help turn things around?
We're an answer to what's needed. So much we can do.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome to our 97th annual meeting. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed our hold music this morning, United We Can, featuring our very own President and CEO, Franklin Baker. Today's event is also being live streamed and recorded. Please enjoy and have a wonderful morning. Let's get started.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I just
Well, good morning and welcome. So great to have everybody here in person, right? And we have legs, we're people. I'm Charlie Royland. I'm the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of the Johns Hopkins Hospital, and it is a privilege to be here with all of you today. I'm so glad that so many of you have joined us here as we come to reflect, celebrate our successes, celebrate you, our partners, and consider what you and we might do together going forward. You know, in my day job at the Johns Hopkins Hospital, we've learned to survive, manage, and yes, even thrive in a very different world from the pre-COVID world we all left so abruptly in March of 2020. And while none of us would choose to relive a pandemic, most of us will note that it has not blown us off our course or our mission. And most of us will agree that there have been some good things that have come out of it. And so while much has changed here for the United Way, the most important things have not. United Way still promotes equity, creates opportunity, and improves lives. We're proud to be a source of support, compassion, and hope for people who work hard but still can't make ends meet. We strengthen families and communities on both urgent and systemic challenges and increasing access to basic needs, health, housing, economic advancement, education, and others. Thanks to our extensive network of service providers, nonprofits, public partners, generous supporters, and volunteers, the United Way was prepared like no other organization to continue moving forward, to translate generosity into immediate relief and help for people to build better paths and improve their neighborhoods. We collaborated with state and local governments to stem the rising tide of evictions. We expanded access to high-quality, affordable childcare and supports to help students stay on track and graduate. We amplified the power of local leaders and small organizations to tackle issues in their lives and in their neighborhoods. And we connected donors and volunteers to help us deliver what's needed where it's needed. And we do all of this with a commitment to equity, especially for the next generation, to unraveling discrimination and bias, and to lowering barriers that stand in the way of low-income earners who are disproportionately people of color. I'm excited by the plans that are underway to launch Young Men United, our equity education initiative designed to close the wealth gap by enabling young men of color to graduate high school and achieve post-secondary success. We can only be change makers if we open pathways to better future for all, ensuring everyone can realize their potential. And today, as we all support and embrace the role of the United Way in these unprecedented times, I'm reminded of a quote from Fred Rogers, AKA Mr. Rogers, where he said, "When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, 'Look for the helpers.' You will always find people who are helping." Today is being those helpers, about how we have collaborated as partners in change, sparking innovation, celebrating what we've accomplished together, and looking forward to how we can do even more so that everyone will be able to live their best lives. Thank you all for being here. Now, we have a little business to conduct first, so I'd like to call to order the annual meeting. Anyone who is a United Way donor, regardless of whether you're a volunteer, staff, or guest, is permitted to vote. In your online event reminder, you received the minutes of our June 24th, 2021 annual meeting, so you can vote if you're in the room by raising your hand, and if you're on the online, the virtual, you can join the online poll if you're joining us by live stream. So with that, may I have a motion to accept the minutes of our June 24th, 2021 annual meeting? Thank you. May I have a second? Thank you. All in favor, please raise your hands. Any opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. The motion carries. As board chair, I've been privileged to work with smart leaders who are deeply caring of the United Way and its mission to empower leaders and engage communities. One of the hardest parts of this job is saying farewell to some of our finest leaders. Ambassadors, advocates, program governance and legal experts, strategists, and yes, partners in change. Each outgoing board member has played a significant role in advancing United Way's mission. So please join me in thanking Kelly Chase, Don Fry, Susan Gauvey, Dana Glore, Charlene Moore-Hayes, Len Parrish, Beth Perlman, Carrie Schreiber, and William Doc Walther. Could you all please stand so that you could be acknowledged and know how grateful Please know how grateful we are for your dedicated service, and we hope you will continue to volunteer with us. And thank you also to our outgoing Region United Network board members whose names are on the screen here. And now it's time to enlist our future leaders. So please welcome Mr. Peter Rosenwald from our Governance Committee. Peter.
Thank you, Charlie. Good morning. A compelling mission, a great organization, and talented people is our recipe for success. The Governance Committee sought to augment an already engaged and talented board by addressing expertise needs. I will announce the names of all seats, and then, when we are done, one vote. Bios for the new members were mailed to you in the event reminder. The Governance Committee recommends a second three-year term commencing July 2022 through June 2025 for Whitney Harmel, Maryland Chamber of Commerce; Michelle Lee, University of Maryland Medical System; Elizabeth Phelan, Bank of America. An initial three-year term, July 2022 through June 2025, for Dr. Renee Blanding, Johns Hopkins Medicine; Sean Klosky, Rebuild Metro; Derek Dickens, BG&E; Greg Farno, Truist; Martin Lamel, Micah. A two-year term, July 2022 through June 2024, Cindy O'Neill, Consultant to Nonprofits and Philanthropists; Aaron Church, Ernst & Young; Derek Lynch, Wells Fargo. A one-year term, July 2022 through June 2023, Noah Chang, Johns Hopkins Medicine. Finally, the slate of officers for July 2022 through June 2023 is Charlie Royland, Johns Hopkins Hospital, Chair; Ryan Cowden, Plano Cowden, Chair-elect; Rodney Adoy, Vice Chair; Lori Robinson, McCormick and Company, Secretary; Michelle Lee, University of Maryland Medical System, Treasurer; Tommy Hires, Annie E. Casey Foundation, past Chair. This concludes my report. We are ready to vote. Charlie?
Thank you very much, Peter. May I have a motion to approve the re-election and elections of the directors and officers for the terms as outlined? Thank you. May I have a second? Thank you. All those in favor, please raise your hand or vote on the poll. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. The motion carries. Now, we had also planned at this moment to present our 52nd annual Clementine Peterson Award, but unfortunately, our awardee, Ms. Charlene Moore Hayes, is unable to make it today. We're going to celebrate her appropriately in the fall, so we'll just thank her in absentia here today. And so now comes the fun part. I would like to ask our fabulous President and CEO, Franklin Baker, to share his perspective on the year we've just had and the path we are on for fiscal 23. Franklin.
I don't know about that fabulous guy you just spoke of, but I'll stand in his place. Good morning, everyone. Try it one more time. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Are you glad to be here in person? Yes. It is awesome. It's amazing. Our staff has grown, and there were several staff members, I kid you not, that I had seen for the very first time this morning in person, seen them on the screen, on Zoom, et cetera, but never since they've been employed. They were employed post-March of 2020, seeing them for the first time. So it was great to see you all. Thank you so much for being here today. What an incredible event to celebrate this past year of successes. Knowing you had our back during the pandemic has meant really the world to all of us, but more importantly, it's meant to the world to all those who we serve every single day. The thousands of people we're serving has meant the world to them. Over these past 2 years, we've learned a lot. We've learned to act on a moment's notice based upon the needs as well as the opportunities. As the pandemic wore on, people were losing their homes at an alarming rate. Many of us are aware of that. The Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development, DHCD, and Baltimore County government, they partnered with us to test STEP, our strategic targeted eviction prevention program, an incredibly effective and innovative way to begin to stem the rising tide of evictions. With $4.2 million in grants, we were soon preventing more than 50 evictions a day in Baltimore County. Buoyed by the, yes, that's worthy of a clap. Buoyed by this success and this pilot, DHCD continued to partner with us and an additional local governments engaged, and we expanded STEP across Greater Baltimore. Together, we have prevented evictions in more than 6,500 households in just the past 18 months. So that represents about 13,000 individuals that remain in their home. Thank you to the work of our partners and to all of our staff engaged in this. So far, we've distributed nearly $55 million in rental assistance. And recently, we signed a contract with DHCD to manage an additional $21.5 million. So for those bean counters in the room, right, my CFO, this brings the total amount we are managing to address the eviction crisis to over $100 million. So housing is just one of our focus areas. United Way and our partners are really driving social, economic, and educational equity through our neighborhood zones, community-driven resource hubs that offer multi-generational support to that particular neighborhood. These neighborhood zones include United Way Family Centers, which provide free or in some cases reduced cost childcare for parents and early childhood education for their infants and toddlers. They also offer housing and employment assistance, high school dropout prevention programs, and a critically needed service of mental health, right, especially during these times, food pantries, and so much more. The Family Center at our first neighborhood zone in South Baltimore's Brooklyn neighborhood has been incredibly successful. It provides free childcare for expecting and parenting students. It has received national and, yes, even international recognition for its success. This year, students in this program surpassed the national average graduation rate for student parents by, get this, almost 30%. And inspired by this success, the University of Maryland, Baltimore invited us to partner with them to expand our neighborhood zone concept to West Baltimore's Poppleton neighborhood. Yes. And so this family center at Excel Academy, it opened several months ago thanks to the generous support of so many of you in the room, so many of you watching online. We thank you so much to all of the generosity and support and to many of our staff who have done a phenomenal job. So thank you, staff. A wonderful job. So here's a topic that many of us are familiar with, the cost of living in Maryland. The cost of living in Maryland is high, particularly in Howard County, right? Child care for two there is $2,000 or more per month. We had multiple conversations, deep listening sessions, right? Conferring with nonprofits, community leaders, some of which are in the room today. about how best to meet the needs of Howard County families and children. Quality, affordable childcare was front and center. And so our newest United Way Family Center is conveniently located in Columbia Gateway Business Park. It will do several things. Serve 73 infants and children from 8 weeks to 4 years old, offer below market rates for low-income families, which is a great perk, accept child care vouchers for many of those families, offer full benefits for staff working more than 20 hours per week, full benefits for those working more than 20 hours per week. We look forward to the center's opening this fall. Very exciting. So, leveraging our reputation as an intelligent knowledge and data resource, we are launching a new effort to accelerate social impact by fast-tracking creative solutions to equity, access, and opportunity in our core areas of housing, health, economic advancement, and education. In alignment with our equity promise, our social impact accelerator, it will do the following things: invest, test, and bring community-based ideas and solutions to scale, operative word, to scale. Fuel not only our work, but that of our other partners in the community. Thirdly, offer research, tools, education, training, and innovative approaches to support stakeholders. And finally, to really highlight what's working, but also get under the hood and identify the needs and the gaps in the community services. So phenomenal, phenomenal new thing we're bringing to the community. The Changemaker Challenge that we conducted in November was a really good example of our social acceleration efforts. We solicited ideas from and granted funding to budding social entrepreneurs who were poised to drive real substantive change in the community. Some of you may recall the spirited and I would say charismatic librarian, Araba Mays, who had the opportunity to plant books where the people are. What a novel concept. Her idea went viral on TikTok as she prepared to make her successful pitch to us at United Way. With our help, Araba appeared on Good Morning America, where the producers gifted her with an additional 1,000 books to continue her important work. A proud moment indeed. So, helping more people understand what we do and who we serve is also really critical. Accomplishing this during a pandemic is tricky, am I right? So we launched our new 30/30 experience, a virtual empathy-building program where participants really sort of navigate 30 days of difficult, often life-altering decisions as they assume the identity of the head of a low-income household. Our goal, here's our goal, is to build awareness of the hardships our neighbors face, to really engage more supporters, like many of you, in our critical work. So after participating in the 30/30 experience, listen to this. One community member shared, it should be on the screen, I used to think folks just needed to get a better job to make it. Now I realize there's more to it. So many other factors contribute to the bigger picture. And since last year, thousands across our region have gone through this immersive 90-minute experience. And we have had several companies to go through this. BGE, we've had wonderful experience at Care First, Annie E. Casey Foundation, and so many others have really enjoyed this experience. So we also hosted myriad virtual and a few in-person events to keep you engaged and informed throughout the year. This included our Realities of Inequity Learning Series, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Lunch and Learns, which have been awesome, the Emerging Leaders United Vision to Action events, and a special In Their Own Words event with Dr. Freeman Hrabowski, in which we explored the power and promise of educational equity. However, none of our programs or events are possible without revenue generation driven by our staff team. Yes. And not only our team, our tireless board, our run boards, our committee volunteers, and the masterful, that many of you don't see, the masterful handling of all the behind-the-scenes administration and operations, all the controls that are in place, the things that are happening to keep this really running well. And after an extremely rigorous year-long process that dug deeply into every facet of our organization, we received a full 3-year accreditation by CARF, the International Center for the Accreditation of Rehabilitation Facilities. Don't get thrown off by the name. Because of the family centers that we operate so successfully, we qualify for this invaluable accreditation. We were also honored, and we really were, to be named a top workplace for 2021 by the Baltimore Sun. I thought someone would clap on that one. And as we close this fiscal year on June 30th, I can't believe it's almost here, but as we close this fiscal year, I'm proud to share that while our initial budgeted revenue was $53 million, which was already a really important stretch from where we had been historically, we are ending with a projected total revenue, and I'm really cringing to even say this, of up to $94 million. And for all of you who are impressed with how money is managed and used and leveraged, this $94 million comes with an historically low, an unprecedented low overhead rate of just over 6%. So July 1 marks year 4 of our 6-year strategic plan to accelerate our impact for local families and individuals, meeting the greatest needs as quickly as possible for low-wage earners who are living as asset-limited, income-constrained, employed, or ALICE, right? You see, we are humbled by the continuing trust, and that word, my staff know this, is very important to me. We are humbled by the continuing trust of the community and our funders and our partners. Like us, they believe addressing root causes of poverty and dismantling structural barriers for low-income communities of color is a priority. Our goal for the new fiscal year is to increase our value as partners in change, incubating new ideas, expanding highly successful initiatives, and we have many of them, sustaining productive programs, reimagining vital services that are often at inflection points, and transitioning or sunsetting some of the work that is best executed now by our mission-aligned partners in the community. So new initiatives will further demonstrate our commitment to equity and innovation. This fall, we'll launch, I'm so excited, Young Men United. Yes. With Young Men United, we will break down barriers to educational, racial, and also earning equity for young men of color from grade 10 to career by really exposing them to schools, careers, and jobs that perhaps they only dreamed about. How? How? By providing college and job guidance, training programs, and internships, by supporting them and their families with the resources they'll need on their journeys. And this is key. They'll get the critical mentorship that is vital to their success. We'll be launching this exciting program at Patterson and Benjamin Franklin High Schools, and we'll serve 250 students over a period of 9 years. We're committed to this. It will not only strengthen the lives of these young men, but it will also diversify our workforces and bolster our local economy. When I was a junior at San Gorgonio High School in San Bernardino, California, I remember my school counselor and how unhelpful this person was and helping me to prepare for college, prepare for the SATs, just to better understand how the system works. I had wonderful, loving parents, may they rest in peace, but neither of them had gone to college. They weren't able to help me. I was at the top of my class with very good grades, but had to really figure things out on my own. Anyone ever heard of the term self-navigation? Try going to a destination that you know nothing about and you don't have a GPS to help you. So I don't want that to happen to even one more young person of color. The pandemic has also revealed the extent of the child care crisis in our country. In response, we will also launch a United for Child Care initiative, which is really designed to reimagine the entire child care field by expanding access for parents, elevating the child care profession at all levels, from center-based to at-home providers, and to strengthen the economy with new jobs and additional child care sites. When my wife, Michelle, and I had our daughter, Gabrielle, almost 20 years ago, can't believe it, Martina, almost 20 years ago, we had expensive but decent child care for her. Some of you can relate to that. Forgive the dad brag, but Gabrielle is now on the dean's list in college at University of Loyola and off to Argentina for study abroad for 5 months. What stood out was that in her daycare, she was well cared for, I remember it like it was yesterday, received early childhood education, and prepared for future success. It was, folks, it was a financial pinch for Michelle and I at that time, but it was really well worth it. I want every child to have what my daughter had and to have the peace of mind that my wife and I had while we worked and struggled to provide for our family. The third initiative we will launch is focused on economic advancement, a workforce talent pipeline called Building Bridges. We will partner with local employers to understand the skills that are needed and train and support potential employees. We will also continue to reimagine our housing, homeless prevention, shelter diversion models based on national practices and ongoing research. We will continue to expand our neighborhood zones and explore expansion via federal funding for our On Track for Success early intervention program that really does a great job helping children to succeed in school. As we spin down Mackenzie Scott's generous $20 million gift, yes, we continue to prioritize investments that accelerate our strategic plan's impact, grow our endowment, which is really important, to really sustain our best and most productive programs, and our key stakeholders achieve their philanthropic and impact objectives, which are really, really key to us. Ms. Scott's gift is now also inspiring additional investments through our 100th anniversary campaign. It focuses on building our endowment and advancing equity and really launching visionary initiatives to bring new, fresh, dynamic ideas to life. We will continue to evolve to ensure we have the skills and the systems and tools and processes to not just survive as an organization, but to really thrive. I'd like to share one final story and ask for your commitment. Is that all right? I said, is that all right? All right, all right. Regardless of what your relationship is to United Way, when I reflect on my younger years, what truly stands out is that I always felt very special. My great-grandmother, we used to call her Mamu. She would always say, Mamu would always say, "You're my special little grandbaby. You have," she called me by my middle name, "you have, Darnell, what it takes." I heard that over and over again from her. And as I would go to her house, leaving elementary school and go to her house and eat my peanut butter jelly sandwiches and my tuna sandwiches and all those things and the tea, sweet tea, I would always remember what she was saying to me, and it instilled a source, Ryan, of confidence in me to succeed. So will you all join me? Here comes the commitment. Will you all join me and join United Way to help spark something bigger as we build equity from cradle to career and beyond, and say to each child and adult that we serve, whether we're volunteers, staff, partners, or donors, will you join me in this commitment by saying to them, we believe in you. You have what it takes. We are never going to give up on you. And finally, you are special. You all are very special too. Thank you for your continuing and ongoing support of United Way of Central Maryland. Thank you so much. Got so excited, I'm walking back to my seat. So you heard us refer to partnerships several times. We live and we thrive by them. Now we would like to celebrate a few of the invaluable partners who are helping us spark something bigger. 10 years ago, we established the Frank Miller Spirit of Partnership Award to really celebrate outstanding partners. This year, we honor organizations and a leader who helped us enable even more parenting teens to stay in school and graduate, knowing their little ones have high-quality childcare. Together, we expanded our successful Family Center model beyond Brooklyn and South Baltimore to Poppleton and West Baltimore, as I said earlier, and to a third location in Columbia, which will support low-wage earning adults in Howard County. We also honor a state government agency led by Secretary Ken Holt, an incredible partner with whom we've worked to stem that rising tide of evictions, as we talked about, across the region. We can't imagine better partners than those who receive these awards. Take a look at the video.
We want to make sure that families have the ability to work, to play, for kids to go to school, and to be able to come at home at night and build memories together, none of which is possible without safe and stable housing. Our partnership with the STEP program has been really amazing. We started with a small pilot out in Baltimore County, which has now grown to be across the whole Central Maryland region. And we've been able to serve thousands of families with rental assistance at a point in their lives where it's been really hard and difficult to recover from COVID-19. Folks have lost their jobs, had to take off of work to take care of children when daycare shut down. And so this program has really supported, thousands of families at this point with staying in their homes, staying safe, and really being able to start a road back to a thriving family and neighborhood. For us, a community is only as stable as the people who live there. And so if folks are struggling in your community or in your neighborhood, it's important that we're lifting them up and providing them with support to succeed. And really, at the end of the day, that strengthens all of our communities, all of our neighborhoods, and creates a better environment for everyone to live in.
It's my personal view that the highest calling of society is to protect and educate our children. And the best way to contribute to society is to get them off to a great start so they can be successful. Trace backwards many failures of society, and often it's the lack of stability. So what better way to support United Way's great effort? This is our backyard. Our headquarters is right down the street. We've been a 20-plus year supporter of United Way, And now having this daycare facility in our backyard where our employees can see it, volunteer, and be involved directly, that's a great fit. And then lastly, it's part of our business plan to be engaged with the communities that we're serving, both the tenants, but also the areas around our properties. And so this is just a great fit. We're helping Howard County, and we're helping the United Way, and it's family-oriented, and it's in our backyard. So who could ask for a better partner?
One of our core values is community. So we want to give back to our local community. We're a Baltimore-based company. You know, we want to support our local neighborhoods and support underserved communities. And we think that that value really aligns with United Way's mission to improve lives. You know, they do it in a variety of ways, the daycare facilities, the programs that they're working on. And Plano Cowden, as builders, you know, we've got the opportunity to really help in a tangible way support their programs and to help bring these programs to life.
We think quality childcare is essential. We are a family-friendly company, so a lot of our employees have children. And we know that when parents can go to work or if they need to continue their education, like our projects did in Poppleton and Brooklyn, then they can relax knowing that their kids are safe and cared for. Also being able to provide high quality, affordable health care for people that would not otherwise be able to have access to it. It really kind of hits on our servant leadership and what we really want to see the company be able to do. The projects that we do, they can be replicated over and over again. So we kind of be able to create a blueprint for things that are going to be sustainable and be continued. I think it's amazing. It's not often that you get to kind of have passion and professional collide, but I really feel at Plano Cowden, especially being in human resources, I get to see a lot of the people things happen. I get to see it internally and externally. So when it hits all the points, our clients, our employees, and just the communities at large, I think I feel really lucky. It's one thing to kind of be in the office, but then when you're able to get out there and really see the impact that your clients do, that you get to be a little bit a part of, it feels like you're making the world a better place. So I'm excited to see what the future holds for us, for United Way, and the impact that we can make on communities.
Everything about Just Living Advocacy is about my mom. Everything is about what I saw, what she did, and how she helped families. She watched kids sometimes from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. What she did was show her love and care for people. She instilled in me that it's about the people. We like to kind of be the boots on the ground and making sure the neighborhoods within certain communities know that there are resources available to them, whether they're housing, food, childcare. A place like this Learning Center here can be really the difference in the social development that a child may get because of where they're coming from. United Way is not just about putting on a Band-Aid. They're about creating spaces and channels that can help parents elevate themselves to the next level where they can continue to succeed, and helping those children, instilling those skills in those children in early development areas where they can carry that on to any public school or private school. I continue to want to partner with United Way simply because they have heart. You never know who's watching you, so you do things based on your passion and your purpose. And so having this recognition is telling me that I'm beginning to do something right. I got a lot more to do, still a lot more to do, still a lot more collaboration to do. And when there's organizations such as the United Way of Central Maryland here, I am willing to continue to step up to the plate and for us to be able to make a difference in the communities that we are serving.
Congratulations to everyone, and thank you for your ongoing support and leadership. Will Danielle, Nett, Steve, Ryan, Terry, and other representatives, Erica, of your organizations, please stand at this time so we may celebrate you. Please give it up. We really could not do this work without partners like you all, so thank you very, very much. Now we are thrilled to welcome our keynote speaker, who has a special commitment to the education and advancement of young people's space. Our board member and my dear friend, my colleague, Dr. Sonia Santelises, CEO of Baltimore City Public Schools, is here to introduce him. His keynote will be followed by a panel discussion. Can't wait. Sonia?
I will say I would never feel like at moments I was at church this morning with the amens and the preaching, but that was great. If there is anyone who truly understands the lived experiences of young people of color in our region's most challenged neighborhoods and the steely determination it takes to survive and thrive, it is today's keynote speaker. When it comes to launching United Way's Young Men United initiative this fall to support young men of color from grade 10 to post-secondary success, we can learn a lot from East Baltimore native Dee Watkins. The beginning of his life is recounted in his new book, Black Boy Smile, which those of you who are with us in person will receive today. Vividly paints a raw, eye-opening picture of the hard realities of growing up in the inner city. Fortunately, Dee's intelligence, resourcefulness, and indomitable spirit far outweighed the challenges and barriers that he and other young men of color face. And today, he is a man of many accomplishments. He is a New York Times best-selling and award-winning author of The B-Side, The Cook-Up, Where Tomorrows Aren't Promised, and We Speak for Ourselves, which was a one-book, one Baltimore selection of the Enoch Pratt Free Library. And let me tell you, it was invigorating to see young people across city schools carrying that book from one of our local authors. Dee is an editor-at-large for Salon. He is featured in the HBO documentary, The Slow Hustle, and is a writer on We Own the City, an HBO miniseries from David Simon. Dee's work has been published in the New York Times Magazine, The Guardian, Rolling Stone, and other publications. He is a college lecturer at the University of Baltimore and holds a master's in education from Johns Hopkins University and an MFA in creative writing from the University of Baltimore. Dee's awards include the Be Me Genius Grant for Dynamic Black Leaders, the City Lit Dombach Award for Service to the Literary Arts, the Maryland Library Association's William Wilson Maryland Author Award, and the Ford Men of Courage Award for Black male storytellers. Dee lives in Baltimore with his wife and toddler daughter, and I will tell you that anybody who knows him for even a little minute will recognize him as a girl dad. And as a daughter and wife of girl dads, I will tell you, he beams no brighter than when he talks about his young daughter. It is my pleasure to introduce our very own Dee Watkins.
It's always awkward coming up after your bio, but can we give Dr. Santelises a round of applause for the amazing work? before I get started, I want to apologize if I came off awkward this morning. I got one of those bad phone calls last night. So I'm here, but normally when I meet people, I have like better jokes, better one-liners, like make people feel extremely happy, like quick, right? But I wasn't as quick this morning, but we'll get it together. One thing I really, really want to say, and I'm thankful to be here, because I actually know people whose lives have been transformed by United Way. So can you please give yourselves a round of applause, like a real one? Because a lot of times we see numbers and we see stats, but we don't actually get a chance to talk to people. And I'm in a unique position where I actually I get a chance to talk to people. So I really, really, really understand the resources that people need and how something that could be so small to some of us can be so big to someone else. I was making a joke for one of my HBO colleagues. We were wrapping up on the show, and we got bonuses, right? You do a good job, sometimes you get a little bonus, right? And he was talking about what he was going to buy, and this is why we need to have these conversations, because my bonus doesn't just go and off to something I was dreaming about. I'm the family superstar, so I'm not just taking care of my own personal family, I'm taking care of 15, 20 people at times. This is the reality of, you know what they pay writers. I'm a writer though, I'm not a Wall Street banker, so this is, and I imagine I have friends who work in positions where they aren't fortunate enough to make the same amount of money, but they still have those same responsibilities. We have to keep them in mind. We have to understand what that reality is and what it looks like, because it's extremely important. Being impactful, right? How impactful is the work that we do? It's something I try to do. I try to be on all the time. I really, really think about, I audit myself, the work I do. Is it getting to the places where it needs to get? Am I touching the people who I need to touch? And it happens all of the time. One of my mentees had introduced me to this guy, and he was, at the time, at this particular time, he was a mover. And he came into my house, and when you walk into my house, there's like, when my wife and I got married, the Baltimore Sun had did a story on it. So I got it framed, because I'm a nerd like that, and hung it up, it's hanging at the front door, right? It's like, talented, successful lawyer marries whacked out crazy writer, right? Headline, something like that. But he's looking, he's like, damn, like, why would somebody, why would the paper write about this? This is so good. This is so positive, right? And I was like, yeah, they'll do a story if it's a divorce too, right? It's like a joke. It's not going to be one. But he was a good kid. And when I say kid, my grandma used to call me an elderly toddler, right? I was one of those kids. When I was 10, I was already 37 years old with like taxes and like, a credit score, right? So he was like, he was a kid. He said, he was asking me about, what do you do and how do you make money and who pays you and, what does these things look like? Because I'm creative. I want to write, I want to be better than, and I stopped him. I was like, brother, nobody's better than nobody. We got to meet each other where we are. Never look down on a person unless you are pulling them up. So very clear with that. Very clear with that. He said, wow, bro. He said, nobody ever put it like that. Nobody ever put it like that, right? And I said, we gotta do these things for each other, because you see what's happening in the city right now. We all we have. This is all we have is each other, right? So he was at my house to move a couch that I hated. And I had to talk my wife into getting rid of this couch. Like, it took me, like, because we had the baby, everything is nostalgia for her. Like, everything's nostalgia. Like, oh my God, but she threw up on that couch for the first time. And I'm like, baby, she'll throw up on other couches, especially when she gets to college, right? So it's nostalgia. It's nostalgia, right? But I talked her into getting rid of the couch because I kept complaining about the functionality. Like, it doesn't function right. It doesn't function properly. It doesn't function right. The springs are off. The aesthetic is off, right? Our backs are being punished because of it. Like, I made a real strong argument, and and then my mentee's friends with this mover. This mover comes in. He gets the couch. He comes back, and he was like, yo, really, really appreciate what you said to me. I actually, but I really do want to be a writer. Where should I start? So I was like, yo, you should read this book by me first, right? Like, start with myself, right? But I didn't sell it to him. I gave it to him. I gave it to him, right? I gave him Black Boy Smile. And then I said, there's this woman named Jasmine Ward, who's way, she's like more brilliant than most people. She has a book called The Men We Reaped. That might help, especially knowing what we're going through in the city. And I should mention, he's from the neighborhood. And then I also told him to read this book called Heavy by a guy named Kesey Lehman, right? I was like, yo, read these 3 books and call me, right? Give me a call, and then, I'll talk you through some things. We can figure it out, right? So he gets the truck packed and he goes. And that may have been a regular exchange for me, but it meant the world to him because he told everybody. Like, he didn't know how many people we knew in common, and he told everybody. I kept hearing it and hearing it and hearing it and hearing it, and that's the work on the surface, but that wasn't my mentee. And being in this position and trying to be impactful, again, we audit ourselves. What are we doing? So I just want to briefly talk about a couple of the kids that I mentored because, I love them dearly, and I want the world for them. One of the kids, I met him when I was teaching. I was teaching a Friendship Academy, right? At the time, not on staff, I was a substitute. However, it's the best substitute teacher you can, like, and that's like a Michael Jordan of substitutes. Like, I truly feel like, I should have like a plaque, like, because I really figured it out, right? I really figured it out, right? But I met this kid, and this kid was so advanced in fashion. He was like a 8th grade snob, right? A student said, oh, I like that shirt. Is that H&M? And the kid's like, this is Givenchy. And he's like, and he was so offended, and he's like, Givenchy. Like, he's so offended, right? And, for years, I would work with this kid, and I would help him get through high school. And this isn't not D. Watkins, the writer. This is D. Watkins, the student. Helped him get through school, helped him get through high school, helped him out with some college applications, but I couldn't keep him away from the streets. And now he's in prison, right? Nonviolent drug crimes, but drug crimes. And because he didn't do the things I wanted him to do, that still doesn't give me the right, or shouldn't give me the right to throw him and his story away. And I still talk to him, and he's really spiritual in a way that I'm still trying to figure out and understand. So when he calls me, I take them phone calls. I press 5, and and sometimes when he calls, we pray. And like I said, I'm not a youth pastor. I don't have like I'm not trying to sign you guys up for a church, but that's what this young brother needs. And if I can, pray, I pray. And he taught me Hebrews 11:1, faith is the substance of things hoped for, but the evidence of things not seen. He will get through that situation, and he'll figure out how to be productive and how to be positive and how to push forward. So in my mind, as a mentor, as a big brother, I have to reimagine what success is like and attach to his journey to make sure we don't lose him. No, I don't. I don't think the system works as is. However, I do feel like those of us outside of the system who care have a responsibility of making sure when somebody goes through that, they're not just left alone. I had another mentee, which was more of a difficult story because I met him at the same school, and I kind of walked him through everything. The teachers didn't want to deal with him, so he would literally be in my class from like first thing in the morning until like after school, right? But we got all of his work, we got it together, we pushed him through, and he was trying to, he wanted to be in the streets, and this is before I started mentoring him. He wanted to be in the streets, and we pulled him off the street, and we got him out of East Baltimore, and we sent him to his grandma's house, and I took him to get an ID at motor vehicles. I don't recommend that. It takes a long time. I mean, like, it's like, can we get the 47 different pieces of mail? And I'm like, dog, he's 18. Like, he doesn't have 47 pieces of mail. I can show you his Instagram, But we got the ID. We got the ID. Then I took him up copping, and he never took the SAT. I don't know if it's still required, but I know some schools are getting rid of it. But at the time, he didn't take it. So took him to BCCC, and the woman at BCCC said, she thought he was charismatic. She thought he was funny. She thought he was like her grandson. So she gave him a free laptop. So now, he's in school. He's enrolled. He has the laptop. He's ready to go. And then he called me up because he didn't have any money. So I knew a guy at a restaurant that was looking for, someone to run dishes. So I was able to make that, put all that together. And he never really took the job, and eventually he ended up losing his life, right? And that was difficult. And I don't have like a pinned up anger, but I'm hurt at the lost potential, at the opportunity lost. And I rack my brains on what I could have done better, how I could have been a better person. Was I too wrapped up in my own stuff to see the signs? And I think about that, it weighs on me. And then I have another mentee who's, he's a best-selling author. He's a full professor at Coppin. He's on top of the world. He's in love. His life is like a storybook right now. He's doing ads for the Oreos. His name's Kandwani Fidel, right? But it's the same thing. It's being there for somebody, pulling up for them, giving them $20 when they don't have $20. I think Connie owes me like $40. But it's being that person. It's being that person you didn't have, and it's understanding that all of these situations aren't going to pan out the way you want them to pan out, but still pulling up and still showing love and still being that person you didn't have. And that's when I think about impactful, I think about those relationships and what that means. And I try my best to encourage people who have resources and connections to try hard to get them those resources and those connections to people that don't have them. It's the only difference between rich people and poor people, is that rich people got like 30 chances to fail. Their kids got 80 chances to fail. We get one shot. We get one shot. And we don't have connections. So we got to make that shot without the proper training, the infrastructure, or anything in place to be able to have that success. That's a real thing. And the phone call I got was from Kandwani. It was from Kandwani, my star mentee, the superstar, because the mover was his friend, the guy with the books. He was killed last night. It's on the Murder Inc. page right now. It's in the news right now. There's like 7 shooters in East Baltimore yesterday. He's not going to get a shot. My last text message from him was he just got heavy. He just bought heavy from Amazon, even though I told him to go to a local bookstore, right? You know, and that's life in this city. That's how it's been. I do believe we can do better. I do believe United Way is making it better, but I also think when we in these moments, when we share this space and when we have these opportunities, we have to know that how do we take it to the next level? How do we continue to build? How do we continue to grow? How do we reward the effort and be happy and proud at the positive changes that we've made while still not losing that fire to be better? Everyone in this room is doing amazing work, but you know, we must remember that the biggest threat to future success is current success. So what is next? How can we utilize our resources and power to make it better for everyone? I'm here. I appreciate you guys, and hopefully we can keep pushing forward and fighting a good fight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dee. That was quite inspirational. We appreciate you giving us our charge today to be more and to utilize our resources to do better. Good morning. I am Wayne Yun, the head of equity and executive office operations for United Way. Our organization has made a serious commitment to racial equity and equity in all of its forms. We have built a 4-part roadmap for our journey that encompasses our impact in the community, our staff, volunteers, and vendors. And as Franklin said, we are embarking on new initiatives that address educational inequities facing our young Black and brown young boys in the region. A reimagining of the childcare field and a workforce development to build talent pipelines. We heard that Dee loves interacting with his audience, so we have a panel of thought leaders to explore ideas with him and to offer us food for thought to fuel our journey this morning. In addition to Dr. Santelises, we also have Heidi Daniel, CEO of the Enoch Pratt Free Library, and Sean Robinson, Economic Advancement Director at United Way. Welcome our panel to the stage. Sean, you can have a seat in the middle, and Heidi. And so, how this will work is our panelists will ask Dee questions first, and then I will facilitate the conversation. And so let's get started with your question, Heidi.
Sure. Well, good morning, Dee, and thank you for being here and sharing those words with us this morning. When I think of the city, I think of how public places and spaces are critical pieces of infrastructure to support neighborhoods, to support the city. And institutions like the public library lead to equitable access or more equity in access so that we can provide resources, whether it be a book or a safe space to come into. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you see that role in your life and in the city and community.
Thank you. I think it's extremely important, and I only wish we could do even more, right? Because I feel like when I was a kid, I used to go to the Pratt, and I wouldn't call myself like a whiz kid or like a voracious reader, but I liked Cat in the Hat. I like Curious George. I like Stone Soup, right? People don't know Stone Soup. Stone Soup is actually a great book. Like it's about,
all of them,
destructing capitalism.
Yeah, exactly.
But No, but it's a, and I felt like that was a space for me. And when I got older, as I left elementary school and got into middle school, the books stopped connecting with any type of personal experience that I cared about. And a lot of us, we strayed away from the library. But I think there's been a big push for diversity in literature. The Pratt has had amazing programming for a really, really, really long time. I would love, I would love to see more. It's vital.
Yeah. We'll work on providing more.
Absolutely.
We want that also.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Dr. Santelises.
Sure. Dee, one of the things that we've got to continue working on from both your perspective as, an educator, which, by the way, I'm already sending texts for your Substitute Teacher of the Year award. And that one of the things that schools have had to work on for a long time, we continue to work on and need to work on, is how we make schools places where families feel welcome, they feel that it is part of kind of who they are, their community, where the community basically has their schools back, because so many see this kind of invisible steel door and don't feel like it's their space. Can you just share kind of your take on practical ways you think we should be working to make schools more inviting and, frankly, connected and partner better with families?
No, that is beautiful. And I honestly, I think about this a lot. I went to Hopkins to study education, and I always thought about my own place when I was a Baltimore City public school student. I thought about my relationships with my teachers, and now going back to schools as an author, I've already seen the evolution since you've been there, so we could give a round of applause for Dr. Sanders. I've seen it since you've been there, but I've been seeing it. Like, so I was born in the 80s, right? Raised in the 90s. When I was in school, teachers used to say stuff like, "You'll get murdered like your uncle." This is how teachers used to talk. And now they're like, "Black Lives Matter, here's some granola." Like, they're passing out granola. Like, you are bringing me with my backstory in to talk about the power of words and the power of literature. So I already think we've taken some major steps in the right directions. However, I still think there's a cultural shift that needs to occur. Schools and communities and teachers and parents and all of these different groups, we all have to figure out how much we need each other, how to connect at a higher level, even if you're a parent, or if you're not a parent, if you're a community member, this school is a part of your community. We are all one. We are all connected. And if one of us fails, all of us fail. And I think, when people start to buy into that, because there's still people in the world right now who feel like, they think school is responsible for educating your child. And maybe about 10%. But the rest of it is on the family. And then the family might have to deal with different hardships. This is where organizations like United Way help a lot, but you have to deal with paying bills and running a household and all of these different things. And you're thinking that the school is handling the education piece when in actuality, the child is lacking and the teachers is not really getting the support they need because the kid's not getting the support they need at home. So all of these cycles affect each other, and we have to get on the same page. I don't know what that looks like, but I definitely think the more, and COVID has been tough, so let's not forget about that. But any opportunity where we can connect students with community members and connect parents with teachers is valuable, and we have to take advantage of it. I don't care if it's like a cheesy softball game, a dance contest, whatever, but anything we can do, any excuse we can make to get these groups together and talking will be better for our city.
Thank you. Sean, what about you?
First of all, thank you again for coming, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that I love what you said, and you kind of answered my question, but I want to just unpack it a little bit more. When we think about vision, we think of a picture of the future that produces passion today. And for so many young men, young black men in this town, whether it be Down the Hill or Park Heights or wherever, West Baltimore, they don't have the vision. Every day is about scarcity and emergencies. So I want to know, because I read the B-side, right? I read the cook-up. And you kind of get the book, by the way, get both of them, right? And don't use Amazon. But I think it's important to, I want to hear your story of your narrative of how you were able to see that vision when the concrete is hot and is sweltering and scarcity is so real. So I'm interested in your narrative.
So thank you for that. And I feel like if I can, for sake of the venue and time, if I can pin it down into some key things that were extremely important for me was the first was venturing outside of my neighborhood. Venturing outside, I'm not even talking about out the country, I'm not talking about out the state, I'm talking about leaving Ashland Avenue and eating at a restaurant on Charles Street. It was different. A person, had to teach me about tipping culture, and why it's important, right? But these are ideas because as a kid, we didn't go out to eat at restaurants and things like that, right? So seeing a different reality was like the start. Having conversations and perspective from people who had different experiences than me was the big thing. Leaving the country, going on my first vacation, and I didn't know where to go at. I was coming out the streets. All cartoons talk about is Egypt and Paris. So I went to Egypt and I went to Paris, right? And they say if you go, if you go to Paris, you should try to speak French a little, right? And make an effort, or the locals get very upset. They were very upset. I didn't try at all. I'm like, where are the French fries? Like, but those little experiences, and I realized I was very fortunate to be able to do so, to be brave enough to do that. But those experiences made everything I believed in and everything I subscribed to seem small. And it might not be traveling for somebody. It might not be a culinary experience for somebody, but it might be something else that lets you know that everything you subscribe to is this big. And it's a whole world full of people and ideas and beauty that is just out there that belongs to you as well. And that's something that we talked about briefly the other day on the call, was so many students or so many young people who feel like they can't break through. It's because they feel like none of this is theirs. This museum can be free all day, but it's not theirs. They don't feel like they can come in, and that's not a knock. It's not a knock on the museum. It's not a knock on anybody who tries, but people really, really feel like, I'm an artist. I do well for myself, and still, I will not call the police. I just won't. I don't, unless I need an insurance paper to get back whatever was taken out of my house, or if I crash my car, I'm not calling them because I don't feel like that's for me. I feel like that will cause more problems than actually help. You know what I'm saying? So I think the last time I actually did have to call them was for an insurance thing, and somebody flattened my tires, right? It's a crazy Baltimore dating pool. But this is years ago. Somebody slashed my tires, right? And before we go too far, it wasn't my fault. I think they got the wrong car. But anyway, I wasn't trying to buy 4 new tires. I was gonna go through the insurance company because this was like obviously a hate crime. And the police officer sat in front of me, and it had to be for an hour, telling me he don't think my tires were slashed because his dad owned a mechanic shop in Detroit. and he's like, he's chewing his gum like, oh, no, my dad, back in Detroit. And I'm like, just write the report. So like, and this is like maybe 20 years ago. I still feel like that group of whatever, that it's not for me. So like, how do we get people, how are we explaining, or what are we providing, or what are we creating to help people feel like they're a part of this, because they are. You talk to a young person about voting right now, they're gonna look at you like you're crazy because they don't feel like it's not them, you know? Like they're gonna look at you like, you know, and we want people to have pride in their families and their neighborhoods, where they come from, their cultures, their traditions. But if you feel like it's not valued and you feel like you don't have a stake, then it gives you the freedom to be as reckless as you want to be, because what's the consequence? What's the consequence? I remember growing up and people being like, all right, okay, yeah, you go to jail, okay, whatever, yeah, I go sit down. So that's not even like it's not a deterrent. It's not like, oh my God, I don't want to go to jail. It's like, okay, see my dad, Father's Day's coming up. Whatever, you know, and it's a thing. So how do we fix that, and how do we change that? And that's a lot of the language, or a lot of the language that I use when I'm in them spaces is talking about what would it take for you to feel like this is yours too.
That is an excellent point, and I'm curious about from that perspective from the other panelists, that each of you represent various institutions. How can you ensure that communities do see themselves and do feel a sense of ownership in a meaningful and authentic way?
Well, from the library's perspective, you know, it's important to offer a lot of representation in our programming, in our staffing, in our buildings. It's certainly having programs and partnerships like One Book Baltimore that we do in partnership with Baltimore City Schools, making sure that the authors we select, like Dee, are people that the students can see themselves in, so that they can see a different future for themselves, because it is about exposure. It is about making sure that the city is reflected in the institution in a very meaningful way, and not just in a performative way, but in a way that says that this place is for you. You have a way to create this space to be reflective of you, and we're also putting our resources into making that space be that way, and you know, through partnerships and programs, and making sure that the writers and speakers that we bring in are representative of the community.
Yeah, I think for us it's a combination of windows and mirrors, which is what I talk about a lot. And I think the powerful piece about what Dee shared is there were themes of windows and mirrors in there, right? So the mirror is I get to see a representation of myself. I get to see my community as additive, right? Not just subtractive. It's why we have like a whole Be More Me curriculum, which is Baltimore City as classroom, right? Baltimore City local heroes, not just heroes out there. But it is also windows, right? It is also seeing into things that I think are radically different from me, but actually connect. And so I remember going into a classroom with 7th graders who were reading an excerpt from Chaucer. Now, that's a place where, you know, you got a room full of, I think 99% of them were Black kids, and the teacher was Black. And when I said to her, how are they relating? She said, oh, we're doing fine, because they're relating Chaucer, right? And they were reading Canterbury Tales, and as a former English major, they were relating the Pilgrims and Canterbury Tales to folks in their neighborhood, right? And they didn't see it as, this is not me. They were able to relate, and so I think this idea that it's one or the other, it's me being able to make meaning in space, to validate my experiences, but also to experience something new. And I think that it is being able to do that early, so that when they walk into spaces like this, they actually know it is them. And they know because they can make the relationships, but also see representations of their lives.
Thank you.
I think for us, I work for United Way, by the way. Okay. I think that in my department, and I would say this as a rule from what I know about the United Way, I've been here almost a year, people are not projects. People are people. They're not projects. We're not doing this because we want to feel good about, or appease some level of white guilt or feel good about, while we get to help those people. I grew up here. It's not them. I watch my pronouns. It's not you. It's not them. It's us. And it's we. So I think just from the level of understanding that we're all human and that we all have a passion and a calling, and you can't do this work, and we can't really serve people if you're not called to do it. And then as artists, as Dee talked about, everybody has a different role. Some people buy the paint, some people have the canvas, some people paint the pictures. But we're all, and we let people know that we serve, and that's the key word, that verb serve, that they are artists as well.
Thank you so much. And for my final question, primarily for Dee, so what do you envision that change looks like for the area, and how can people in the room really mobilize their resources to create the change that's needed?
Embracing the idea of ending systemic poverty is the big one. The other big one, which may get me ran out the room by some people, but it's just how I feel. We have a gun problem. We have a... I'm not saying it as a liberal. I'm not saying it as a talking head. I'm saying it as a survivor. You see how I walk. We have a gun problem. We have a gun problem. And we need to do something about it before it affects your home, if it hasn't. We need to do something about it. So ending systemic poverty, in America's richest, the most powerful country in the world, we have people that are like 8 generations poor. Why? Why am I the first, my grandparents are from Baltimore. They're not even from, normally black people start at it's like Africa to North Carolina pipeline. It's like everybody in my family only goes back to Baltimore and suffered like a great grandma. And I'm like the first real American citizen, right? Because I own property, because I can travel when I want to, because I went to some good universities. And that's sad. That is terrible. That is terrible. That is terrible. So how are we gonna fix that? And what does that look like?
Well, can you give our panel and Dee a round of applause? Thank you so much, everyone.
Well, Dee, Sonia, Heidi, Sean, Wayne, wow. Provocative, powerful, inspiring, moving perspectives. And Dee, given what you just learned last night, I think your presence here today is all the more meaningful, and I'd like to ask everybody here to give you one more thanks for that. Thank you. I think Dee's message reminds us that we not only have the opportunity, but the responsibility, all of us, to be a catalyst that helps spark something bigger, regardless of our position in life. We must think of ourselves as living, breathing, social impact accelerators. We must continue to think boldly and act to help develop powerful solutions to deep-rooted systemic issues like those we discussed. As United Way heads toward a century of service to the community in 2025, we remain committed to promoting equity, creating opportunity, and improving lives, to doing what is needed where it is needed. We have proven that we are creative problem solvers, bridge builders, and game changers. We mobilize nonprofits, government agencies, individuals and foundations, employers, and the private sector, not only to meet the needs during a pandemic, but to drive positive, lasting change. We are the helpers. And as helpers, we're deeply invested in the region and have the expertise, connections, and tenacity to lead tomorrow's philanthropic movement. Let's spark something bigger together. Thank you for joining us, and please be sure to get your copy of Dee's book, Black Boy Smile, on your way out. Thank you all for your continuing support of United Way.
When you give to United Way, your gift could be the first spark of something bigger. It can help provide nutritious food for a family in need, because eating healthy shouldn't be a luxury. It can help someone find, interview for, and get hired for a job, and provide follow-up services for success. It can break down educational barriers and give that extra help to a struggling student with in-school support programs. It can help someone with housing challenges and be a catalyst for a new beginning. Because a safe space to call home is the foundation for building a better future. Give today. Spark something bigger.